From the director of Tammy. The Boss. So The Boss is directed by the director of Tammy, who is Melissa McCarthy's husband, Ben Falcone, or Falcone. Different on-screen Batman lore has made me forever question how you pronounce that last name. However, gonna clear your mind right now, this movie's not as bad as Tammy. So in The Boss, Melissa McCarthy plays Michelle Darnell. She's a super successful, super rich lady who did some insider trading, and so she goes away to jail for some amount of months, and then she gets out, but the government's frozen her assets, repossessed her house, took all her possessions. She really has nothing, so she stays with her old assistant Claire's, crashes on her couch, and then she goes with Claire's daughter to this ultimately Girl Scout meeting, and she's like, oh my gosh, it's how we're gonna get back in the game. It's how I'm gonna be a businesswoman. I'm gonna build an empire, like a brownie empire. And so that's what this movie is. It's a crude comedy about this lady building a brownie empire with Kristen Bell. And I'm going to say, I laughed pretty hard in quite a few scenes in this movie. First of all, Melissa McCarthy is great at comedy. We all know it. Yeah, she plays the same thing, and it's getting kind of annoying. And you know she's gonna play in this movie, this really crass, really crude, really blunt asshole. And it's classic. It's not like this groundbreaking thing either. You know, Melissa McCarthy is this very sanguine, disturbing element that comes into Claire's life, and Claire is really, you know, she doesn't go outside the box. You know, she's really boring. So this lady's gonna teach her, and then Claire's gonna teach her what family's like. Somewhere in the middle is where a real, normal human being should be, and they're gonna help each other out. Seen it a billion times before, I know. But this is Melissa McCarthy's movie, and she does a good job in it because unlike Tammy, she's not completely fucking obnoxious. In fact, a lot of people she's a dick to in this movie, they really deserve to have an asshole be an asshole to them. So it's really validating to see. You just love to see it. It's in that vindictive kind of way. And the hits keep coming in this movie. She always has a snarky ass remark to say about a lot of shit. And I'm pretty sure it's probably that Melissa McCarthy ad-libbing, but as we've seen in outtakes before, on Blu-rays and DVDs, or end credit scenes, Melissa McCarthy's really good at ad-libbing. I was really surprised in this movie that I actually liked her, be it she still kind of plays Melissa McCarthy's characters. All of them, who are kind of one person. Kristen Bell was good, but in the end, Kristen Bell just could have been any girl whatsoever that just any girl. Hey, can you play kind of a lonely single mom? Yeah? So you're hired. Job audition for anybody for that role. The movie is ridiculous. There's a total street brawl that happens where you're like, that would never actually happen. But the street brawl was actually pretty impressive. I'm just saying it's an impressive street brawl. But you do think to yourself, like, is this movie going the cartoon route? Like at first she was like the super snarky dick and you liked seeing it, but now are we crossing the threshold to cartoon? Not quite yet. Not until Peter Dinklage. He's the element that brings this movie to cartoon level and that really compromises the experience. Like the last act of this movie, Peter Dinklage officially makes it a cartoon and it was just a weak ass last act. They gotta break into this place. Peter Dinklage is sword fighting. It's really fucking strange. I'm like, where'd this come from? Where's the vibe coming from? Where did we get braced for this shit? Suppose the movie was bracing you for it all along and saying that he's obsessed with samurai stuff, but when it actually goes down, you're like, oh, you mean you were serious? Kind of like when I got an earring. Yeah, I had an earring at one time. Watch my old videos. I told everybody, I told my family, I'm gonna get an earring when I graduate. I'm gonna get an earring when I graduate. And they were like, that's funny. And then I got it and they were like, oh shit, you mean you were serious about that? That's kind of how it feels. Peter Dinklage is like, samurai, and you're like, and then he like actually starts sword fighting and being completely ridiculous and you're like, oh, you mean like we were going there? Oh, I should have taken you a little more seriously. Not gonna lie, this was jarring. Guys, in the end, The Boss is like this. Melissa McCarthy plays exactly what you think Melissa McCarthy is going to play. However, she does it in a way that's actually more fun to watch than a lot of her recent movies except Spy. Spy was better. It's neat to see this super crude, crass, loudmouth hurricane come into someone's life and actually make it better and actually have a business model in mind. Because I've always thought that about brownie scouts. I'm like, what's your end game? What do you get out of this? So she kind of challenges that dynamic. She's like, no, my brownie troops, you make 5%. You get commission. Pretty good way to go about it, and I thought that was cool to see. But not all the jokes land, and when they miss with a vengeance. There are a couple leading up to the last act where you're like, no, you were doing so good until now. But that last act just left me shaking my head, and I was like, why did we even know? That's stupid. Just concentrate on the family stuff. You don't have to make it some big thing by the end. You can just make it, keep it in the pocket, man. Keep it personal. But in the end, I will say I laughed in this movie, and that's what a comedy is supposed to make you do. I will say I had a good time with this movie. I will say The Boss is certainly a good time. No alcohol required. All right, so your favorite and least favorite Melissa McCarthy movie. She has quite a contrast now, so you have some picks to pick from. Whatever they are, comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.